Hey, you big idiot. Happy holidays. Happy holidays.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Week 10 edition of this week's Power Rankings. And I'm going to start off by wishing everybody a Merry Christmas.
Yay!
Hey, Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Christmas is my favorite time of the year. It's the time of year where people give without the thought of receiving anything in return. Full of joy, Christmas spirit. And best of all, it's time for my yearly fantasy naughty and nice list. One of my favorite things of the year. We're going to start off on the nice side of things, since it is Christmas after all, time for optimism and happiness. And coming in at number 1 on this year's fantasy nice list is Evgeny Malkin, currently leading the league in fantasy point per game average at 15.7, and obviously just had a hat trick against the Sabres. Congratulations, Declan, on drafting him. Number 2 on our nice list is Scotty Hartnell. A surprising 15 goals, averaging over 12 points a game. He's hitting, he's blocking, he's shooting, he's doing pretty much everything you want. Number 3 on the list is defenseman Shea Weber from the Nashville Predators. He is the league's leading defenseman. He's got 24 points on the year, 12 fantasy points per game, and surprisingly not Chara at the top of the list for the first time in a long time. Number 4 on our nice list is Thomas Vanek. Kind of surprising output. We know he's talented, but 17 goals, 34 points, better than a point per game average in the NHL. He's averaging over 11 for his owner right now. So it's been a great year so far for Thomas Vanek. And coming in at number 5 is the surprising Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, an Oiler and a rookie. He leads the team in goals and points. Came out of nowhere. And for the honorable mention for the fantasy nice list this year is the Florida Panthers.
Yes.
Yeah. Who really came out of nowhere to lead the Southeast Division and is only right now 1 point out of the Eastern Conference lead. So a pretty good season for them so far. That's very nice. And that leads us into a segue into the fantasy naughty list. This is a list for players that you drafted that just have not met expectations, have not behaved well, and they'll be getting coal in their stocking this year. The unanimous number 1 choice for this list is Alexander Semin, who's been very, very craptastic. Coming in at number 2 on the list is Martin St. Louis, who has been mirroring his Edmonton Oilers team's performance of late. Very, very, very disappointing. Number 3 on the list is Joe Thornton, a player who you wouldn't think would find the waiver wire, but did just that when the Landsharks ran out of patience and dropped him just a couple of weeks ago. Number 4 on the list, Eric Stahl, who is a terrible minus 18 for the season and has at least one fantasy owner very, very frustrated.
Well, with him and Semin both on that list.
Somehow you still lead our division. Awesome.
That's right.
And number 5 on the fantasy naughty list is Sidney Crosby's brain. Just can't seem to get over that hump and stop having post-concussion symptoms. And our honorable mention for the naughty list this year is the entire Anaheim Mighty Ducks squad, with the exception of Ryan Getzlaf, who's actually having a decent year. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
That supplants our fantasy news and notes for the week, so we're going to get you right into the meat of things, starting off with the Fighting Mongooses. Now, the Mongooses moved to 8-2 last week with a close and unimpressive win against the Edmonton Oilers. Put up the 4th lowest point total in the league, but it was just enough to edge out his increasingly hapless opponent. He had a good week from Pekka Rinne, but aside from that, didn't have a player hit 40 points. Still, a win is a win, but he's going to need to do better if he wants to continue his excellent record.
Just a little bump in the road on that. I'm not really worried about it.
No big deal. Still a win. Not going to gripe about that.
All right, coming in number 2 this week, the Redwall Avengers. Good job, Katie. It was a very impressive win for her, as she was the league leader in scoring last week by more than 50 points. Those points came at a very good time, since she was taking on the division leader. Riding the backs of Stamkos and the surprising Andrei Pavelec, she got enough of a cushion on Thursday to cruise to a victory the rest of the week. It will be interesting to see if her team can stay strong against the Polar Bears in this upcoming short week.
Coming in at number 3 are the Swan Divers. And this week, in the Things Mark Swan Will Never Live Down category, he just lost to his fiancée in fantasy hockey.
Shit.
It was a tough loss, too. He scored the 3rd highest total in the league, but he was simply overpowered by the main lady in his life. I'm sure this is in no way a metaphor for his relationship. This week he's going to face off against the Redcoats, which might look like a favorable matchup on paper, but interestingly enough, the Coats had the second highest point total in the league last week. Not necessarily going to be easy.
No, it won't. No, it won't.
Coming in at number 4 this week are the Silver Blades. It was a rough week from the beginning for the Blades, as he went into the week down 10 man games. But even with that being said, he still put up the second lowest scoring total of the year and fell 101 points shy of the Redcoats, who didn't help his situation by taking full advantage of the extra games. He put up the second highest point total. The Blades are going to need a better performance out of some key people next week, but if he slips up again, it might not be a bad time to do it, as he will be facing off against the top shelf cheap shots, who are currently last in the Campbell division.
All right, coming in number 5 this week, we got the Boston Redcoats. It was a fortuitous week for the Redcoats as he faced off against a team who had a much lighter schedule than himself. And in addition to that, he put up some serious points. He finally got a good week out of Cam Ward, who had been a thorn in his side all season. And his forwards did good, consistent work, rewarding him with the second highest point total in the league for the week. He's back to 500, and if his team keeps producing like last week, the good times will roll.
Nice job. Coming in at number 6 this week, the Black-Eyed Cabbies. It was a rough one for the Cabbies as they struggled for most of the week. 2 players netted him negative points when the week was over, including Brzgalov, who took 9 very important points away from him. The one bright spot came from Malkin, who pocketed him 63 points in the Penguins' rout over Buffalo with a hat trick, along with 2 helpers. Hopefully, he can get his act together and use the next matchup against a laughable Oilers squad to get back in the win column.
Yes, yes. All right, folks, coming in at number 7 this week are the top shelf cheap shots. I'll be honest, I was going to say nothing but very nice things about a nice Sunday comeback for a struggling team. Really, I was going to. But then owner Andrew Elias made the second dumbest move I've seen from a league member this season. Just today being Monday, he dropped a solid point-producing forward in TJ Oshie and replaced him with none other than Tomas Kaberle. Yeah, the one who's currently averaging 4.1 points per game. Yeah, now that 3-6-1 record's starting to make a little more sense.
I don't even
have words.
comprehend.
I don't have words for what a bad move
Yeah.
that is.
It makes my brain hurt. Number 8 this week are the North Pole Polar Bears. It was an impressive week as the Polar Bears were able to record their 3rd win out of the past 4 games. Granted, 2 of those wins were back when he had Crosby, who still has no timetable for his return. And the win last week came against the last place team in the league. But don't let all of that fool you, as his win last week was the 4th straight week in which he topped 500 points. It's going to be an interesting week as he will face off against the Red Wall Avengers.
Very interesting indeed.
Very interesting.
Uh-huh. And coming in at 9 this week are the Edmonton Oilers. And the wheels have come off, and he's officially in free fall. The loss last week makes 4 in a row for the beleaguered Oilers. And while he did lose to a powerhouse team, said powerhouse team really didn't do anything at all. It was the perfect time for an upset, but he just didn't have it in him. He remains 2 games up on the Land Sharks for the final playoff spot in the Prince of Wales division, but if he keeps losing, that gap's going to be closing quickly.
Sorry, Ken, I tried to help you out.
I didn't.
All right, and falling back to number 10 this week, the Grand Island Land Sharks. After everything started to look better and 2 straight wins, he ran into yet another roadblock this week, only putting up 436 points, which was only good enough for the 6th highest point total of the week, but also got him beat by 65. His best forward was Patrick Elias, who racked him up 53 points. And with a short week coming up, the fact that Elias came down with the flu hurts even more, since he's going to need all the help he can get as he will be taking on the Prince of Wales division leader.
Not an easy matchup.
No, sir.
Oh, sir. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to the Week 10 Power Rankings. I'd like to also extend a Merry Christmas to everybody in the league and everybody's families and everyone they care about. Everybody be safe over the holidays, be happy, it's a joyous occasion. And keep in mind that this is a short week this week. There's no games on Saturday or Sunday, so make sure you're planning accordingly. But once again, I'd like to thank my management team here, Casey Brown, Mark Swan, and all of you as managers for continuing to update and make this league a fantastic place. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Take
Bye,
it easy.
everybody. Missed.
I did miss. Yeah, the
Missed
camera then threw it off.
We're terrible shots.
Yeah, we're not very good.
All I really want for Christmas are some brand new shoulder pads to protect me from the enemy when he cross-checks me really badly. I would be irate, you'd expect me to retaliate, but to his surprise, I look him in the eyes and say, Happy Holidays. You know, Christmas time is a stressful time for all. Malls packed, traffic jams. Family get-togethers way too out of hand, and pickup hockey is just way too crowded. And I know that you want to take your stick and wrap it over somebody's head, but you gotta think twice. Try to be nice, and remember to say, Happy Holidays. Happy Holidays. Take it, Eric. Lindros.
All right, coming in number 2 this week, all the way up from number 4, Red Wall Avengers. Good job, Katie. It was a very impressive win for her. She was the league leading in
League leading in
Fuck. The words are right there.
They are.
All you have to do is read them.
I
was
can't
quite
read
sure
it.
I was probably the lead leading in fuck, but congratulations, Katie. Number 8 this week are the North Pole Polar Bears. It was an impressive week as the Polar Bears were able to record their 3rd win out of the past 4 games. Granted,
If I can just interject here, Mark tried to type the word granted, but instead typed granite, the kind of stone, and didn't see anything wrong with it. I think that's the best part.
You knew what I meant.
I knew what you meant. I also knew
I
what you
just
wrote.
kept reading, and then it as soon as I got to it, I started saying it. I was like, "You son of a bitch! You didn't fix it."
Nope.